Hi, folks. Joachim Torres here. Meraki Media Experience, Empirical Enterprises. This is the video for property valuation, coming up with your comparables, and how you arrive at your specific intentional list price for success. I like to give people what they ask me for. I like to give people what they want. And I don't know if you guys remember, but a few weeks back I dropped a video, and I did mention a little bit about comparables, property values, list price, and I said that I wanted to speak more on that and that there was going to be more to come. And there is, and this is the video. But you guys also know that I make a lot of other points, and I go off on little tangents here, but I put a lot of valuable information into these videos. So they're few and far between, but there'll be more over time, and you'll see too. I make mistakes, a little grammatical errors, and pronounce things wrong, or maybe say something inappropriately, and I try to just upload those anyway. I try not to be a perfectionist. It's hard for me, but we know that perfectionism does not equal efficiency. You have to wrap it up. You have to just step forward sometimes. Wrap it up and move on to the next thing, or just begin. You just have to put that foot forward and begin. So how important is it to do what you say what you do, and do what you say? So important. So dangerous when you do the opposite of that. But we know that your actions have to align with your values. There's a lot of folks out there where their actions don't align exactly with their values. That was me for a while too, But slowly you align things, and slowly you get your walk to match your talk. And it's interesting, this white streak here. I had somebody ask me if I did that to my hair on purpose. Who the hell would do that to their head on purpose, But I'm going to leave it. I'll never use just for men, ever. Anyway, aligning your walk to match up with your talk. That way you're living in your truth, moving forward. And that's aligning with your values. That's self-actualization is what that is. When you get your values to align with your actions. I do want to say first here real quick, though, I want to thank a handful of people, mentors who I've had over time. Tremendous people, very smart people, who I got a lot of mentorship from. There's a handful of them. Whether they knew it or not, I just want to mention that, by no means am I expert about anything I'm talking about. All the stuff I'm talking about, I do have experience with, enough for me to share and elaborate and even share my mistakes, and you can learn from them. But when you share the info too, keep this in mind. When you share info with other people, try to teach it to them or just speak on it, this is a solid way for you to crystallize that information for oneself as well. So speaking on this is helping me continue to learn it and solidify it and just get even better at it. I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Lynn Buckway of the Buckway Group. They get it done over there. They make things happen over there. So big shout out, Lynn. And like I said, I've crossed paths with just some tremendous, amazing people. And it's interesting because I very much come from a culture in upstate New York back in the 80s and 90s where, there was a lot of people had a theme of, I've earned everything myself. Nobody helped me. Everything that I have, where I'm at in my life, I did it all myself, And I used to admire that. I really did, because I felt like that too. I felt like I was in that category as well. And I admired that. And at this stage of my life, I realized that, that's nice. You did everything for yourself, but We need each other. We need each other. We have to depend on other people. And I've said this before, if you really want to change the world, put yourself on a team of like-minded individuals, and surround yourself like that, and you can move mountains. You really can. But it takes a village, doesn't it? Usually it takes a village to raise a child. So yeah, even though that's the culture I came from, I'm just going to mention a few other quick notes here. I'm going to try not to rush it, though. And I also don't want to lollygag and be too long-winded here. We know that I'm a little bit of a chatty Cathy, but I'm going to be less apologetic and more intentional. Everybody, every single one of us, as we move forward, should be less apologetic and more intentional. And accept that you can't prioritize comfort and growth at the same time, right? Because growth is accompanied with discomfort, and change is accompanied by discomfort. And that's what we're supposed to do, is run towards our pain and our fears and embrace them. And that is how we transcend and become the refined 2.0 version of ourselves, right? So accept that you can't prioritize comfort and growth at the same time. Now, also, the willingness to be bad at something long enough to get good. All this stuff connects. It's all connected. The willingness to be bad at something long enough to get good. I'm not here to impress you guys today. I'm here to improve for the next decade. And that's rare, and that's stoic. And keep in mind that Rome wasn't built in a night, and discomfort is the gatekeeper of growth. Rome was not built in a night, and diamonds take millions of years to form, right? Remember that one? Through pressure and heat in austere environments. And this is another very, very important point. This is kind of a main point before we get into the valuation, comparables, list price, main topic of the video. But this is a main point I wanted to make because this is super important. Instead of learning, now, this is a statement I'm about to make, which I don't agree with, okay? But this is scary right here. The statement is, instead of learning how to make this yourself, how to grow this yourself, how to create this yourself, instead of learning how to do that yourself, here, just borrow mine. And I won't charge you too much for borrowing it. That is what's so scary about our world right now. Is people not learning how to do things on their own. AI, the dumbing down of society. There's great value in having to struggle to find something out, having to interact with people, go out there, move, pivot, that's when you really develop a lot of character and you learn a lot, but when you type something in, hey, ChatGPT, create me a video that incorporates this, that, and the other, and then boom, but how did you go find all that information? You didn't. They did it for you, so over time, yeah, absolutely. The dumbing down of society, that is scary. There's no value for both sides in that, it's like you pay me and I let you borrow mine, so you can do the same thing as me, but you're not learning it. You're not learning it yourself. You got to learn it yourself. And back to real estate. Every deal you ever get involved in, any contract, it's got to benefit everybody involved, right? If everybody involved doesn't benefit in some way, shape, or form moving forward, you don't proceed. You don't do it. That's the only way you do it, is if everybody benefits. More importantly, not purposefully picking the easy way to do things, the known way. Not avoiding things because they're difficult or you don't entirely know how to do it yet. That's scary. We should purposefully go out of our way to do the more difficult thing, because then we're going to learn and grow better, growth and change, that's the discomfort. That's the only time you grow and change, is when you're uncomfortable. When you take a step forward out of your comfort zone. Okay, yeah, so let's not do the dumbing down of society. And one more thing before we get into valuation, comparables, list price, accurate list price. Let's talk about disclosures for a hot second. To disclose everything, to be completely transparent, right? You let these folks know of every single thing. Well, let me tell you something. Disclosures don't mean jack squat if your client doesn't understand what they mean. Explain things. Explain to your client. And set expectations. Early on, in the beginning, set those expectations. Like, hey, based off my research and my homework, the accurate list price for your property would be this, and here's why. And you back it up with your evidence from your homework. And then, there's a little pushback, and they say, well, I want to list it for this much because I've done this, that, and the other since I lived here. And, you've done all these different things since you lived at that property. You put a new roof, you put a new blinds on every window, this, that, and the other. And you have the prices of how much each thing cost you, which adds up to this one sum. And so you add that sum onto the value of what your property, what you think your property is worth. But it doesn't quite work that way. No, it doesn't, because all these upgrades and things that you've done to your property since you've been there, that's beautiful and that's wonderful. But that's what you're supposed to do. What that does really is it keeps your property relevant and sellable. So say life happens, right? Which it does, and something occurs, and you know that you have to move, you have to list that property, you need some capital. You got to sell. There's no way around it. No ifs, ands, or buts. You got to sell. For you to be able to sell like that, you kept your house sellable and relevant by doing all those things. You can pretty much put it on the market because it's not dated. You upgraded it over the years. We all know, too, that it costs money to do these things, and not everybody can do that, especially now where times are a lot tougher moving forward for a lot of folks, right? But it doesn't matter. We can sell as is, no matter what the condition and stage of your home. We're gonna adjust accordingly. And then one more thing too, say you're doing a job with someone new for the first time, a different company, a subcontractor. It doesn't really matter what industry you're in or what kind of job you do. This doesn't have to be just real estate, but you don't want to burn any bridges. You're in the business of building bridges, not burning them, right? So there's someone else that you're depending on to do a certain item, to comply with a certain job, to give you some paperwork, anything, and you're not getting it from them. You're not getting it on the date and time that you need it, and you keep mentioning it, and you don't want to be disparaging towards them or be aggressive or anything, because like I said, you've never worked with them, and two, you don't know. Why are you not getting this stuff from them? Maybe they're not getting it from where they need it. Henceforth, that's why they can't supply it to you. So let's not speculate, right? Let's not come to conclusions without proper evidence, right? Okay. All right, guys. Comparables. Right after I tell you what to do about the folks who you're not getting what you need from, I was told this, and it's true, and it really works, is be the most, the friendliest, most kind, nicest little tiny pebble in the shoe, right? Which is obviously a metaphor, but kill them with kindness, right? Be ultra nice, but just keep reminding them that you're not going away. You're never going away until you get what you need, right? Until that little pebble gets taken out of the shoe. So just do that. Okay, now, comparables, property values. list prices. Okay, so we're going to get a comparable, obviously we know that it's got to be similar in square footage, age, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, acreage, condition, amenities. And not only does it have to be really in the same neighborhood, it's really got to be on the same street to be a legitimate comparable. It's got to be the same number of bedrooms and bathrooms, similar in age, acreage, square footage. So what if you can't find that? What if there is no comparables on your street that fit that criteria that I just mentioned? Well, then, that's when you start to expand a little. You go, from your street, your neighborhood, your town, the township right over where you can drive from one township into the next. But if you didn't have a map, you wouldn't know that you went to a different town, because everything's the same. It's, it's an area, it's a neighborhood. But what you do, you got to get those comparables. Now, you're going to want to get at least 3 because we're going to do averages. This is math, right? This is averages. And what you're going to do is really you're going to get 9 if you can to be completely accurate. But how we're going to do it is we're going to look at sold properties. So when we're searching the MLS, sold properties, because we have all these different criterias that we can search for. Well, we're going to look at sold properties, and that's going to be your baseline, the starting point, the jump off point, the lowest amount of money that you will possibly ask for your property. So we're going to look at sold properties, which will represent your baseline of the low end, the jump off, the starting point. And if you can't find them, you go to your search engine and maybe you start out and you go back 30 days. Oh, there is none. Oh, there's one, maybe. Okay, let's go back 60 days, 90. You keep going further days back until you can find those. So your solds represent your baseline, your starting point, your jump off, the lowest amount that you're going to ask for your property. Those are your solds. And then your expireds represent the high end, right? And that's why they expired, because they were asking for too much. Henceforth, they never sold because we had a stubborn homeowners who didn't want to lower that price, but it's all about how motivated are you to sell. If you don't want to lower that price, then you're not that motivated to sell because that's what the market is calling for, right? The market dictates how your home will sell. The market will never let an overpriced home sell, or an underpriced home for that matter. And we'll talk about why this is so important, so you don't stigmatize your property and make it even harder to sell, right? Solds, bottom line, expireds, high end, and you keep going back. If you can't find those comparables, go 30 days back, 60 days, 90 days. And maybe you don't get 3, maybe you get 2. Maybe you get 1 sometimes. But you got to have 1 at least for each one of those solds, expireds. And then you're under contract right now. Active listings or under contract right now. That's going to be your middle of the mall, your kind of nice little wheelhouse ballpark area, the median of what you're going to be asking for. So what do you do when you get your 3 sold property comparables, your 3 expireds comparables, and then your 3 active listings or under contracts? What you do is we're looking for the average price per square foot, and I'm going to tell you exactly how we're going to calculate that. So let's look at your expireds. We'll start that first. You have 3 properties. Add the price of the 3 properties together and take that total and divide it by 3. And that's your average price for your expireds, right? Now take the square footage of those same 3 properties, add the square footages together, divide by 3. And that's your average square foot for those properties, just your expireds. And then what you're going to do is divide that average price by the average square foot, the average price of the 3 homes by the average square footage of the 3 properties. Okay? Divide the price by the square footage, and you get your average price per square foot. Bada boom, bada bing. Okay? And once you have that average price per square foot of those expireds, now you take the square footage of the property in question, the property that you want to list and sell, okay? Take that square footage of the property you want to list and sell and times that by the average price per square foot, okay? And that's going to be the average list price, the high end, because that's your expireds, right? So now you're going to do the same thing for your solds, and that's going to be the bottom line. You're going to get your 3 best sold property comparables, add the prices, divide by 3. You have your average price of your solds. Take the square footages of your 3 best comparables for your solds, add them up, divide by 3. And now you got your average square footage. Same thing. Divide your average price by your average square footage, and then you have your average price per square foot, and take that figure and multiply it by the square footage of the property that you would like to list and sell, okay? Do you see what's going on here? You got your 3 expireds, your 3 solds. You're getting the best average price per square foot of both of those. And then, last but not least, the third, your active listings or your under contracts currently. Add the price of the 3 best. Divide by 3. That's your average price. Add the square footages of those same 3, your best 3 comparables for your active listings or solds. Divide by 3. And that's your average square footage. Divide the average price by the average square foot, and that is your average price per square foot of your currently listed active listings or under contracts, okay? So you got your 3 expireds, average price per square foot, your 3 solds, average price per square foot, and then your median, your active listings. And between those 3, that shows you kind of where you should be, And that's not the end of it. That's just the beginning. That's your accurate list price, right? But what you do is you need to know how the market is trending. Is the market trending up or is the market trending down? Okay? Was it a seller's market or is it a buyer's market? Because that's going to very much affect how you would put an offer on a property, and if you're willing to ask for certain things, seller concessions. Will this seller contribute to a temporary rate buy down? My closing costs. A temporary rate buy down is just making the monthly payment more agreeable for your buyers, really. That's all it is. You're giving them a little bit better of a rate, henceforth a little bit lower of a payment. So say your buyers are approved for $500,000. They are definitely qualified and approved by their lender for $500,000. But if they buy the house that's $500,000, they're really going to be living by the skin of their teeth. They could do it. They're approved, but they're not going to have any money to live the rest of their life or do anything else, And so that could be an instance where potential tentative buyers going to ask a seller for concessions or something to contribute to so that we can do this deal, so that we can get this done, right? We flex and we pivot, and we're hardwired to take care of each other, right? That's what human beings are supposed to do. We're supposed to take care of each other. You know how that's true? You look at infants, a 2 or 3 year old infant, you know, and I'm sure you've all seen instances of this where they're eating their baby food and they try to hand some to the adult. They try to hand some of their baby food to the adult. They're trying to share. They don't know if you're hungry. They want you to eat some too. That's a 2 or 3 year old, you know? We're social. We're supposed to be gathered and taking care of each other and stuff, right? Okay. There's another thing called price bracketing. Now, I'm going to make more videos. Of course, there's going to be more to come with real estate, valuations, listing, buying, home inspections, airplanes, music, sports, comedy, movies, all the things that you're going to find on this channel. The real estate, you know, it's all about helping each other, right? It's all about information sharing, knowledge sharing. What you guys do with that is up to you. Read my YouTube channel description. Everything that is mentioned in there is what this channel is about. I'm not trying to break the mold, really. I never cared about subscribers. I never cared about views or likes or anything like that. I don't give a crap about that. The whole purpose of trying to create content and develop, gain followers and develop influence and to be an influencer, it's about helping people. But really, I'm trying to monetize this thing. I want to develop multiple streams of passive income, so I can be out playing golf and my bank account's getting bigger at the same time, right? That's the goal, right? We've all struggled so much. Not all of us. Maybe just me. But, two, like I said, I'm not an expert here. Maybe a lot of you are familiar with this, any of this, have been for a long time. Someone out there needs to hear this. I needed to hear all this. I needed to learn all this. I'm still learning it. And, we keep going until we don't ever really stop, right? You climb that mountain, and when you get to the top, enjoy the view, but don't stay sedentary too long. Don't just stand around too long. Enjoy the view, but guess what? There's another mountain to climb. Because when you stop dreaming, you might as well roll over and die then. That's when it's time to go. Anyway, we're almost done here. I'm going to mention a few other things from a few other super smart people, super smart influencers, people who've helped me out a lot in my life. Just ignorance is bliss, right? No. It might be, yeah, that's a way to look at it. But ignorance is terrifying, if you ask me. It's not bliss, it's terrifying. Idiocracy. AI, the dumbing down of society. All right, guys. Price bracketing. This will probably come in a different video because there's more to talk about this. But the general, real quick overview of price bracketing is you're trying to come up with that accurate list price. And, say you want to list your property. You need to get at least $475,000. You need to get at least that. At least that, for the whole deal to work for you. Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to list your house at $475,000? You're going to list it at $450,000? You're going to list it at $515,000? People always want to stay high, and then we'll lower it down if we have to. Well, here's why it's so important to come with the absolute most accurate list price that you can right from the jump. Right from the beginning, because of this. People who are actively searching for properties to buy, they need to move, they need to buy. They know what's out there. They're probably online all day from their work computer or all night at home. That they know what's in the local area. They know what they need. They know how much they're approved for. They know what's out there, okay? And if you overprice your home, they're going to look real quick on the MLS and they're going to see, okay, yeah, square footage, acreage, bedrooms, bathroom, everything matches up. But, oh, how come this one's like 20 grand higher than these other great, ones that are right in that same exact wheelhouse? They're not even going to go any further. They're going to go next and just keep scrolling to the next house because they're going to see that you're priced higher and they're going to think you're greedy. And they're like, it's just not accurate. It's not accurate, right? If you price it too low, people will be like, why is that price so low? It's stigmatized, right? It doesn't even get looked at. It doesn't get further interest. So forget about a showing. You stigmatize the property, and then it's going to sit. It's going to sit on the market. So how do you sell something? How do you price it accurately? Price it for what it's worth. Do your homework and do your research. And you could be trying to sell anything. Your baseball cap, your bike, a guitar. Price it for what it's worth. Not more, not less. When you do that, people are going to see it. Square footage, acreage, bedrooms, price. Oh, yeah, that's right around the same as. Then they're going to start looking. Okay. Then they're going to dig further. Then they're going to set up a showing to come walk through the property. Then they're going to call you and ask more questions about the property. So price it accurately. Don't stigmatize your property. If you price it too high and then 3 weeks down the road, you haven't had any showings, you haven't had any offers, and then you have to lower the price then. People are the same buyers who are interested, the same people who are in the market, know what's out there with the local inventory. Then they're going to see it and they're going to be like, oh, how come this is 20 grand less now than it was 3 weeks ago? Oh, what's wrong with it? There's got to be something wrong with it. Stigmatized, right? So do yourself a favor. Do your sellers, your friends, a favor. Because when your clients hire you to sell their property, if you didn't know them already, they're going to become your friend because you're going to go through all types of stuff with them. And you're going to be working your tail off at the highest level to show them that you do what you say. Okay? That's how we're going to build success. Okay, so a couple things who some really smart, influential people have said. A buddy of mine who I graduated high school with in 98 back in upstate New York, Ben Mooney. Big shout out to Mr. Ben Mooney. Ben says, if you want to help people or if you're involved in any kind of industry or profession which relies on, you developing meaningful relationships with clients, and you have to listen to them and you have to understand what they want and need. You have to understand, you have to just connect with them, and the speed of trust is instantaneous. People decide within seconds if they trust you or not. And we can talk about the national average too later on of how long it takes people to decide if they want to put an offer in on a property from the time they walk through the threshold of the door of a showing of a property to the time that they decide they want to put an offer in. The national average 8 seconds. Okay. And that's another reason why it's so important if you're an active buyer and you need to buy property, or you want to buy property but you don't know if you can or not, you don't think you can, you're not looking yet, I'm not ready, right? Talk to a lender. That's going to be your first step. Decide which lender you would like to work with for financing a property, a home, and find out how much you're qualified for. Most lenders can tell you this within 10 to 20 minutes. And they're just going to need easy documentation, some pay stubs, some bank records, last year's tax return, stuff like that, your ID. Just proof that you can show who you are, Even if you're not a U.S. citizen, there's ways for us to get your foot in the door into a property. And there's a lot of programs out there that people have no idea about, that you apply for these programs. If you have a good agent, they do it all for you. They fill out all the paperwork, and they apply for these things for you, and there's specific programs in different counties for different demographics of folks, programs that came out after COVID hit because of inflation and because the middle class is disappearing. It's becoming more difficult for a median family to own a median home, right? So they came out with these programs to make it easier so that people can still, obtain the dream of owning a property, and they can still get their foot in the door with coming out of pocket as little as possible. They can still become homeowners. And once they reach out and speak to a lender, they find out how much they're qualified for, because you're not going to start searching homes online for more than you're even approved for, right? You're wasting your time. You're wasting everybody's time. So you're not going to do that. So you need to know how much you're qualified for. Now I know, I'm qualified for this much, and those are the homes you're searching for. And not only that, but once you start looking at homes and quickly and easily arranging walking the property, showings, when you finally walk through that one property that you're like, you just know it within 8 seconds, I don't know if there's other offers on the table right now for this place, but I can't miss this opportunity. I need to put an offer in on this property today. Well, guess what? If you don't already have that pre-approval or pre-qualification letter from your lender, which only takes 10, 15 minutes to get, and I can help you with all this too if need be, contact me. But if you want to put the offer in on a property sooner than later, so that if there is competition, you're going to have a step up on them, you need that letter. You can't put an offer in on any properties without confirmation of your funds verification. Sometimes a snapshot of your bank account will work or suffice. Sometimes, not all the time. So talk to a lender first. If you want to see what you can do, if you can make some moves, or you want to see what kind of options are out there, contact me. Like I said, I'd be happy to explain everything to you. There's no charge for talking, I will say, though, that giving someone your time and attention is the highest form of generosity. It is the highest. A lot of great people have given me their time and attention and shared information with me. And if you have the information that can help people around you, and you keep it to yourself, well, now that's ignorant, right? Okay. So it's all about building up the people around you. You want to make yourself look good? Make the people around you look good. That's what's going to lift you up. So Ben Mooney, what Ben says is, if you're in a job like that and you help people and stuff, you have to break yourself in listening to things that you don't want to hear. It's so true, isn't it? You're going to need to sit and talk to people that you deliberately don't want to talk to. You have to force yourself to listen to issues that you don't want to hear about. And then this is the most important part of that is after you sit and listen, you've got to be able to come up with a middle ground. You've got to be able to be neutral no matter what the issue. And that's true. That might be uncomfortable for some people to hear, but that's absolutely the truth, Ben Mooney, big shout. He also says, keep yourself in a learning environment. Regularly challenge yourself. Keep yourself in a learning environment. Regularly challenge yourself. Big shout, Ben. Texas. Upstate. Shenandoah. Okay. Another person who's been very influential for me, Mr. Joe Dispenza. Now, Joe Dispenza, he says, we've discovered that relaxed in the heart and awake in the brain is the process of transformation. It's your willingness to sit past that thought, past that emotion. Keep training the animal. And sooner or later, you can be reconditioned to a new mind, okay? The system for this journey is meditation. The word meditation simply means to become familiar with, okay? So if you want to sit and meditate Indian style with your hands up, whatever, it doesn't matter. All you're doing is you're thinking about how you want to show up tomorrow. You're becoming more familiar with how you want to show up tomorrow. What do you want to wear? How do you want to present yourself to your colleagues? What are you going to do for your clients? You sit in silence, disconnect from your technology, your tablets and social media, and you sit in silence and you think about it. And it ain't easy. because your thoughts wander, right? But it's practice. Nobody's good at something when they first start it. It takes consistency, repetition. It takes not minding or not caring about looking bad while you learn to get good at something, right? But that's the beauty. It's a skill set. Your mindset, your attitude, the way you think, the things that you think about, where you place your focus and attention. It's a skill set, meaning you can practice it and make it better over time. Beautiful. So yeah, Mr. Joe Dispenza. The system for this journey is meditation. Disconnecting from body, environment, and time. Measuring metabolites in the blood, gene expression and DNA expression, blood, urine, brain waves before and after one of Joe Dispenza's events. This is not pseudoscience here. This is no mysticism, no dogma. This is science with compelling data, backed by compelling data. Your nervous system is the most amazing pharmacy. So yeah, Joe Dispenza, not Joe DiMaggio. Sorry, Yankees fans. It won't happen again, though. Okay, Mr. Andrew Huberman. Big shout out to Joe Dispenza. Thank you, sir. And Mr. Andrew Huberman, another very influential, a giant, When you walk like a king, you are a king, okay? Let me just say that. But Mr. Andrew Huberman, focus, sleep, move, regulate, pursue. Focus, sleep, move, regulate, pursue. This is your edge. Andrew Huberman, big shout. He also says, a phenomenon in behavioral neuroscience, neuroplasticity, the ability of your brain to change. From the time you're an infant, yeah, there's a sweet spot where it works the best and it changes the easiest. But right up until you're a senior citizen, till the day you die, your brain can change, and you can change things based off what you're thinking about, okay? Andrew Huberman, a phenomenon in behavioral neuroscience, action-oriented identity consolidation. Fancy pants. Action-oriented identity consolidation. That just really means actions speak louder than words, right? That we've all heard a million times. But your brain responds to repetition. Your brain responds to pattern and to structure. A trained body creates the ideal internal environment for a disciplined mind. Physical training is the foundational protocol for mental focus. Okay, so a lot of people, they're like, yeah, as soon as I get on top of my anxiety and depression and square these things in my life away, then I'm going to start working out and going to the gym again. That's great thought, but turns out it's the other way around, isn't it? You got to go to the gym first, and then your mind comes around, because physical and mental health are intrinsically connected, right? They go together. Peanut butter and jelly. Don't dare have one without the other. Peanut butter and bacon, that's a good one. Whew. Okay, yeah. A trained body creates the ideal internal environment for a disciplined mind. Physical training is the foundational protocol for mental focus, emotional stability, and long-term behavioral change. So important. Big shout, Mr. Andrew Huberman. And that's it. And let's just take better care of ourselves so we can take better care of each other. Change. You got to realize that you're wrong about something. And what are you supposed to do? When you realize that something that you've known to be true your whole life, a certain belief, it's been true as far as you know your whole life. But then something happened, some research was done, and it's been proven that the correct answer is actually the opposite of what you've known to be true your whole life, right? What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to change your stance immediately. You're supposed to change your stance on that, your position on whatever that item is that we're referring to here. You're supposed to change it immediately when you find out that it was proven that that's incorrect. It's I stand corrected. And carry on living your life. Swap over and move, right? It's not that easy. It should be, because that's what you're supposed to do. Don't avoid doing hard things. That's not the way. You do the hard thing, right? But yeah, as soon as you find out something's wrong, you stop immediately. You change your stance on that immediately, your position. So there's a conundrum of sorts. What about cigarettes? We all know cigarettes are bad, right? So how come people still smoke? That's weird. That's a weird thing. You know why? It's because they love this one little thing, or they don't love it. They know it's bad for them. They don't love it because of that. They know it's bad for them, but it's their one little vice that they have, their one little thing. They enjoy smoking a cigarette. They enjoy it. You gotta have some little things that you enjoy here and there, right? You know, I mean, so I'm not gonna say I'm bringing cig smoking back here. I'm just saying, don't beat yourself up, for having that your one little thing in your life, But just know that eventually, repetition, consistency, learn something, get so good at something over time. Over time, we can get so good at hard things. Anyone can. Believe that. Hindsight is 20/20. Believe that and be back at dawn. Yeah, so I'm not bringing cig smoking back, but something that is wrong, but you enjoy it a little bit, okay? But I mean, come on. It's not like I'm Jeffrey Dahmer over here with heads in my freezer, right? You know it's wrong, but you enjoy it, right? Imagine that. Weird. Sick. Crazy. Okay, guys. A lot of good info here, a lot of good value. It was time to start providing some value and putting some information out there that's going to help others learn something, learn from your mistakes. And I've had a lot of good mentors, okay? I love you guys all. Peace. Good night. Until next time.